So trait theory progressed from the Gordon Allport 200 personality traits to the 16 PF to the NeoPi, which measured the Big Five factor model, which is simply looking at source traits. The Big Five theory is the acronym OCEAN, OCEAN. The test, NeoPi, measures OCEAN. OCEAN stands for openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. And again, like the 16 PF, this is based on factors which are sort of at extremes, kind of a continuum. To break this down, individuals who are highly open are creative, artistic, curious, imaginative, and non-conforming. While people who are low scores on the openness scale are conventional, down-to-earth, and uncreative. Folks who don't really like creativity, they like sort of conventional routines. People who are highly conscientious are organized, reliable, neat, and ambitious. Low scores here would be unreliable, lazy, careless, negligent, and spontaneous. And it's important to remember that a person who might be a low scorer in terms of conscientiousness could still be a good person, still be a good employee. Specifically, if you think about a person being very spontaneous, now unreliable, lazy, careless, negligent, those are clearly not good descriptives. However, if a person is very spontaneous and yet they struggle with details, there still is a career for them out there. And they may just have to work on being organized, reliable, neat, and goal-oriented. These things can be behaviors that are improved. But when we talk about personality, we're talking about what your wiring is naturally as a person. So extroversion is a person who's talkative, optimistic, sociable, and affectionate. And these are clusters of source traits that kind of gather together. The source trait of extroversion produces these surface traits, according to Costa and McCrae. A person who's low scorer here would be reserved, comfortable being alone, staying in the background. Now, in terms of agreeableness, this person is very good-natured, trusting, helpful. Low scorers here: rude, uncooperative, irritable, aggressive, and competitive. A low scorer in terms of an agreeable person would be an individual who may be a great football coach. They may be a very successful lawyer, being very competitive. In terms of neuroticism, the last source trait here, this person worries, they're insecure, they're anxious, they're temperamental. As opposed to a low scorer would be calm, secure, relaxed, and stable. Overall, the trait theorists see that genetics is connected with a personality. Behavioral genetics is an extension of trait theory, which just studies the relationship between heredity and personality. With a selective breeding just basically meaning, just like we pair animals to get a certain breed of a dog, that this happens in a similar fashion, just in that as humans pair, then personality traits are passed along to their descendants. Here you have a set of identical twins separated at birth, and when they were identified and brought in for research, they're given a personality test, given a NeoPi. If we give a NeoPi, which is the personality test measuring the Big Five factor, the OCEAN acronym, what we find is that identical twins raised separately in different environments still correlate in terms of their personality. Their personalities are about half the same. And so what this tells us is that if you had an identical twin somewhere that you didn't know about, not raised with your parents, a doppelganger, if you will, a twin, a secret twin somewhere, chances are their personality would be about half the same as you. If we could go back to another dimension, or if we go back in time, right? It's very sci-fi here. But if we could go back in time and adopt you out to another family, we'd find that the basis of your personality would be the same, the genetics. The environment would modify your personality differently. So the idea here is that genetics accounts for about half of our personality and the environment the other half. And we're still trying to learn how that interaction happens. So trait theories today are focusing on specific circumstances that influence the trait expression. So this some support for a 5-factor model across cultures. Future research wants to look at the impact of child rearing practices on the 5 dimensions. Okay, what we'll do is we will conclude today with just a quick view of how personality theorists measure personality. The psychoanalysts are famous for the Rorschach, which is a projective test. The humanistic therapies are using interviews, like some psychoanalysts as well. The behaviorists use direct observation and rating scales and frequency counts. So they're looking at certain behavior, how frequently it happens. And then finally, personality inventories are really used almost exclusively by trait theorists, such as the 16PF and the Neo-Pi. Now, the Myers-Briggs type indicator, although used by many trait theorists, comes from a Neo-Freudian. It's based on the Carl Jung personality archetypes, but it was a fascinating test that was very, very popular. Now, all of these are used in their different applications, but we just looked at a few of them. So I think personality testing is interesting. I don't think it's going away, and I think it can be very beneficial to help you figure out more about who you are and what career field might be a good fit for you. So take care, and we'll see you in your discussion board assignments online.